So, Atma Namaste, everyone, and a very warm welcome. This morning, I'm going to start with an ancient story, a myth of Nachiketa from the Katha Upanishads. Now, Nachiketa was a young man and he was born into a very wealthy family. And when Nachiketa's father became old, he was frightened of illness and aging and death. So he talked to the priests at one of the temples. And the priest told him, if you want to be certain to have a beautiful birth after death, or have a beautiful death, you must make a great offering to the temple. And so Nachiketa's father, he made a huge public ceremony in which he had a parade and he brought all his cattle and gold and wealth. And he said, I give all that I value to the temple. You know, pretty much this was his way of trying to buy security with everything that he had gained in this life. But Nachiketa, he could see the hypocrisy of it. And he said that you can't buy security with money. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you are still human. And you still have to go through what we all have to go through as human beings. So Nachiketa was so upset at this. He said out loud in front of everyone, you give all you value. What about your son? You know, it was as if to shame his father for his hypocrisy and sham. Now, the father, being publicly rebuked in this way, his father turned to him and said, I give you to death. The father was mortified to what his son said in front of everything he had done. So Nachiketa just turned toward him and said, I accept. I will go and I will seek out death and find what I can learn. And he went deep into the forest and sat without moving for 3 days and 3 nights through pain and hunger and fear, waiting to see if death would appear. And after 3 days and nights, he found himself at the kingdom of death. So Lord Yama, the king of death, wasn't there. Only his assistants were there. And who were the assistants? War, pestilence, and famine. So Nachiketa, he asked for the king of death, and they said that he's out collecting rent. You will have to wait. So Nachiketa waited longer. And finally, when death returned, his assistant said to Lord Yama, you know, there's a very unusual young man who's come here to see you. And they told him the whole story. So Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, he sat opposite Nachiketa and said to him that you are indeed very unusual. You sat for 3 days and nights to come see me. And then I wasn't here and you sat for 3 more days and nights. And because you have come in this remarkable way, a courageous young man, and because I have not received you directly in a worthy way, I will offer you 3 boons, like 3 wishes. So Nachiketa asked for his first of the 3 boons. And the first was, I ask for the blessing of forgiveness. Nachiketa said to Lord Yama, I ask that my father forgive me and that I forgive him. That my father could see me with the eyes he saw me when I was his firstborn son. And the reason that he asked this is because we can't go any further in the liberation of the heart and the freedom that we seek without starting with the balm of compassion and forgiveness and love. We've all been disappointed. We've all been betrayed. We've all been hurt in so many ways, ourselves and others. And in the end, if we are to live in a free life, And that is what Nachiketa was seeking, a new life, a death and rebirth. It starts with a forgiving heart. Do not put another being out of your heart. You know, there's an extraordinary book by a South African psychologist who helped with the truth and reconciliation process. And it's documented in the book, and she in her work she decided to try to understand what she called the evil had come upon people, and this is so relevant in our times now as well. And she spent a year going into the prison to talk to the architect of apartheid, who had ordered the deaths and killings of so many people. And she sat opposite him week after week after week, talking to him and listening to him. And one night, after listening and talking on and on, he said, I think that I lost it all. The first thing that goes is innocence. There is no more fairy tales or Bambi, that's gone. We killed a lot of people and they killed some of ours. We fought for nothing. We fought each other basically, eventually for nothing. We could all have been alive having a beer. So I'm confused. I'm so tired. And he hung his head down and shifted his legs to adjust to the chains that bound him to the chair. And his eyes downcast like someone reflecting on the greatest tragedy and loss in his life. And the fact that she could go and sit with him and listen with an open heart and a curious, it's not even compassion, but an interest in understanding, in a presence, that was the very energy that truth and reconciliation process grew out of. We all have forgiveness to do. And it asks us, what do we have to forgive for our hearts to be free? And this was Nachiketa's first boon. So I want to take a little pause here, and I would like you to do some reflections in the heart. And you may like to close your eyes. What do you have to forgive, small and large, for your heart to be free? Now, some of it is self-forgiveness, and some of it is forgiveness of others, asking forgiveness, but holding yourself with tenderness. It's like my old faults, like snow falling on warm ground. And when we hold ourselves with self-compassion, even the difficulties are held in a new way. I've done a whole series on the grace of forgiveness that is on YouTube. And you know that forgiveness does not mean that we accept things that are being done that cause suffering, that we don't try to change or to stand up for what matters, or to stand up for care and justice for everyone. What it means is that we don't put anyone out of our heart. It's about reclaiming our heart, that we can wish everyone, may you be free from hatred. May you be free from fear. May you be free from ignorance. You may open your eyes. So Nachiketa received his first boon and his heart softened. And he turned back to Lord Yama. And he said, the second boon I ask for is inner fire, is courage. Now Nachiketa wanted to find something deep in himself. You know, as one Zen master puts it beautifully, something that's unshakable. And he wanted to come fully alive. So he asked for this unshakable spirit, that strength of heart to go through everything that was difficult. As Nelson Mandela says, do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. And this is your humanity, and this is what's possible for you. And so the second boon was granted to Nachiketa. And now it was the last boon, the last gift, the last blessing. And very quietly, Nachiketa looked at Lord Yama and said, what I ask now is a great boon. I wish to know that which is immortal. And his last wish had Lord Yama look back at him and say, really? You could have anything. Here, look at this. And he showed him visions of royal chariots with great steeds, basically, you know, the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis of the day. And Devis, the beautiful women, Apsaras, and the best of banquets. You could have anything. Make sure that this is your true wish. And Nachiketa replied with a question. Will not all of these return to your kingdom soon enough? And Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, had to nod and say yes. For all of these things are temporary, they are impermanent. They rise for time and they pass away. So Lord Yama said, then I will give you your answer. And he brought Nachiketa an extraordinary gift, a beautiful mirror handcrafted there in the underworld. And he said, I place this mirror in your hand. And with it, pose a question to you that will be the gateway to immortality itself. And the question I pose for you is, who am I really? Look deeply in this mirror and see. And this is what the Zen masters ask of their disciples, of their students, when they say, who are you? Or what is this great mystery of life? And one is supposed to sit with that koan day and night. What am I? Who am I? You know, in our everyday life, it happens in a moment to all of us. When you go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and notice that your body has aged, that perhaps the hair is missing in some parts, that it droops in other parts. You know how it is? Wrinkles are coming, body's changing its shape. But even though you've noticed that your body has changed, there's that weird experience that you don't necessarily feel older. True or not? You know that. And that's because it's only your body that has aged. But the consciousness, the loving awareness, the witness of it, who you really are in that moment, steps back and says, how's this body doing in this incarnation? Oh, it's sagging here and it's learning there and it's getting this way or that way. And you start to see who you are is not this body, but the awareness itself. You become the witness, the consciousness itself. And in all that you're going through, the difficulties, the pain, the fears, know that this is not the end of the story. And when you get quiet and you get the boons that Nachiketa has asked for, the loving and forgiving heart, the courage, that unshakable spirit. Now, when I say courage, it's not an absence of fear, but the courage to be true to yourself and what matters even when fear arises. That's what courage is. And then you remember who you are, the great heart of compassion itself. And when Nachiketa had received his third blessing and he looked deeply into the mirror to ask, who am I really? He could see that he was in fact consciousness itself. You know, Thich Nhat Hanh says, and let me read that out. Since before time I've been free. Birth and death are only doors through which I pass. This body is not me. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born and never died. So Nachiketa stepped out of the land of the Lord of Death into the unborn, into the timeless, into the loving consciousness that gives birth to all. That we really are, that was born into your body. And what Nachiketa realized was there was something bigger and more beautiful that he could find. And it wasn't just in the vastness, but it was in the tenderness between people and what we touch and how we listen. And I'm going to read a poem by James Davis. Even on the night my friend died, even on that night, the feral cat, the one that's white and fluffy, still crossed our driveway, quietly from my neighbor's pines to our own rhododendrons. Even on that night, she would look for some rodent or bird to terrorize. And I, drinking and grieving on our deck, was appalled by the world and its gross refusal to stop being the world. And then embarrassed not just by my own naivety, but by innate human sickness that believes we matter. That something or someone is listening. That civility isn't just something we imagined and don't really follow anyway. That night, I wanted everything to be better than it is. So I went into the fridge, got out the milk, poured it into a bowl, which I left on the porch and found empty. the next morning. And this is what we have really. We have gestures of kindness and greatness of heart. We have forgiveness. We have the compassion that can hold all those that are living and all those that are frightened. And to know that we can do this together. And I hope that these sessions feed some part of your being, essentially as a reminder, as a possibility, as a soothing and steadying, as an awakening. And I really hope it has been food for the heart. And I thank you for being part of this. Before our practice today, there's a remarkable story I want to share. But just to give a little background, I've always been fascinated with high altitude lakes and just traveling to those lakes in different parts of the world for the last 7 or 8 years. But I started researching on the mysteries of water almost a year back, its spiritual power and possibilities. But I realized that was just the starting point. And it has been a fascinating journey and immensely beneficial at all levels. Personally, to me, my etheric physical body, emotional body, mental and spiritual bodies. And of course, as I started researching, my immediate family and friends too have benefited from it. And that is why I thought I should just plan a workshop, which we've announced, which is on the 8th and the 9th, just to share the infinite power that water possesses. We all know water is life force, and we've all used water. I mean, water is life force, from the ritual of the newborn's first bath to a dying person's final sips. And water plays such a significant role in all religious traditions, whether it's Christian baptism or whether it's Amrit Chakna in the Sikh tradition or Amrit in the Hindu tradition and rituals. And they all illustrate its sacred energy. But there is one story, and that story has been made into a documentary called Alexei and the Spring that I want to share in today's session. And the story is about this nuclear meltdown at Chernobyl in the Ukraine in 1986. A horrific, tragic incident, long-term effects for those who survived the disaster, but were exposed to radiation. And, many people were forced to permanently leave their homes that were in close proximity to the site. But there was one particular village about 111 miles from Chernobyl. 55 elderly villagers never left their home despite the orders to evacuate. Now, rest of the villagers left. So there was this young man, Alexei, in his 30s, and he chose to stay behind to take care of the elderly people who remained in the village. And what really triggered my curiosity was, how could they live in this village without being affected by the radiation? And this was due to a nearby spring, their water source, which was 100 years old. In all the years, the villagers had felt tremendous love and gratitude for the spring water that sustained them, that allowed their village to thrive. So when the officials came to know about these 55 elderly people who refused to leave their home and Alexei, they came to analyze the water from the spring, to tell them how dangerous it is for them to continue to live in that village. But that water showed no impact of radiation. Now, this is the power of love and gratitude. If your heart is filled with the energy of love and gratitude, you will never be in danger. You will be always taken care of. And that is the immunity that the universe, the source of all, the divine supreme being, God, has given us. And water carries this information. And water carries this cosmic healing power. And this 1 year of research in that water has never ceased to amaze me. So, if you want to open yourself up to the miracle of water, the healing power of water, and applying it in your daily life to reap huge benefits, deep, deep healing in every aspect of your life, whether it's your physical body or your emotions or your relationships or your mental health or your spiritual development, you can join this life enhancing workshop. But having said that, and coming back to the power of love and gratitude, I encourage you to take your time to sit quietly at the end of the day and tend your own body and heart and mind with loving awareness. And also with the beginning of the day to settle yourself and set your best intention for your day, and in little bits in the day. Perhaps after you clean the stove and walk the dog, or diaper the child, or answer the email, or go on the endless Zoom meetings until you get Zoom crazed, or you're at work and you finish a task, just take a breath and feel yourself on the earth. Let your heart soften and hold it all with compassion and say, "Thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me and taking care of me and living in a great heart of love." It is who you really are. So let's practice. And just let yourself sit in a way that is steady, feet flat on the floor, your buttocks on a seat, and feel a sense of groundedness. And when you're ready, just allow your eyes to close gently. And first, take a couple of deep breaths and release whatever tension there is that you can let go of easily with those breaths. And as you sit quietly, you turn inward, having taken those breaths. Let yourself feel a sense of connection to the earth, a grounding in which, almost as if you had energetic roots going from your body into the earth. Steadiness, deep, connected. Your body comes from the earth. It's part of the earth. And feel that strength and steadiness as you take your seat halfway between heaven and earth in this human form. And let your roots go deeply into the earth. Steady, strong, And now, from this place of presence, begin to pay attention to the experience just now. And we will go through the dimensions of mindful, loving awareness. First, bring your attention to the whole field of your body. The sensations, the energy of the body, the areas of tightness or tension, that come from this fight, flight, or freeze that gets triggered in us. The areas of hot or cold, pleasure or pain, pleasant or unpleasant. Feel the whole energy field of the body with a loving awareness that has no judgment, but is kind and curious. And as you do, let the places of greatest tension and the greatest holding in your body, invite them to open, to increase, to get stronger, to spread out throughout your body. Invite them to show you what you're holding. And you receive them in the space of mindful, loving awareness. And as you allow the sensations and the intensity of tension or pain, all the things held, to open, to get stronger, to expand, to show themselves, to be received. Notice how, as they expand, they also soften, become more spacious. Now, bring in the quality of compassion to hold all that your body's been holding with a compassionate awareness. And say to your body, thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for taking care of me. And as you do that, notice how your body softens with that gratitude. How holding it all with compassion and kindness, like you would hold a child going through a hard time. Such tenderness. Thank you. It's okay. I'm all right for now. And notice how the body relaxes and opens As you do, you may want to hug yourself. Hold yourself with tenderness. It breathes easier. Space opens up. You're allowing the body to release and come to a greater, more natural presence, just as it wants. To open, to be filled with all of it and receive with love, tenderness. Now shift the same mindful, loving awareness to the area of your heart and notice what feelings and emotions are present. You might notice that there is an accumulation. There might be grief, deep tears of sadness. There might be fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, longing, love, joy, mixed together with all the rest. With this mindful, loving awareness, since what's there in your heart that asks to be filled, that you're carrying, sometimes carrying for a long time, let it open, let it intensify, let it get stronger, more painful, or more beautiful, or sad. Let the feelings open in the vast space of loving awareness and fill your body with love. Let them show you what your heart has been carrying. And you become the loving witness, allowing the heart to be filled with all of it. And as you hold and allow all these feelings to intensify and open the tears, the fear, the pain, the longing, the love, the beauty, hold them again with compassion, like you would hold a crying or a frightened child, tenderly, not trying to fix them, but honoring them and say, thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. All these feelings, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I am okay for now. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. And notice what happens in the heart, how spaciousness grows naturally, how the feelings are received and softened, and how the gratitude, thank you, and compassion for all of them, for trying to protect me, opens this face of tenderness and presence. And now bring your attention to your monkey mind, that very busy organ which is located in your upper brain. Filled with cycles of thoughts and images, and perhaps repeated patterns of worry and concern, confusion and doubt, and imagination, cycling and circling and busy. Feel all the energy of the upper mind, the monkey mind. Just note what it's like. Just focus on your monkey mind. Monkey mind is only part of the great mind that we have. We have two more minds. But here we are focusing on the monkey mind located in the upper brain. What it's like. And hold it with loving awareness. Invite it to open, to show its energy. Let it get more intense if it wants. Let it cycle and twist and get wild. And imagine and feel all that energy and give it space. To show you the energy of the mind. And bring it the tenderness and compassion to hold your monkey mind. All these energies with kindness. They are just doing their job as you do. And things soften. And you can say to your upper mind, thank you, thank you. That over busy organ, thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you. And bow with gratitude. Thank you. I'm okay just now. I'm okay. You can relax. And notice how the monkey mind too softens and settles when you allow all the energies to be held in compassion and loving awareness. When you offer gratitude, everything softens. And now begin to notice something quite remarkable and important and liberating. As the Buddha would say, the essence of liberation. Notice that the body, with all its sensations and experiences, the heart with all its emotions, feelings, and the mind, that you're able to pay attention to these with awareness itself. And shift your attention to realize that you are this awareness. You are this loving awareness, not the body. Although you are gifted with this body in this incarnation, you're not the waves of emotions, the love and the longing and the fears, and you're not the thoughts and images. Sense that you are the witnessing consciousness itself. You are the space of awareness that knows this all, timeless, open, vast, silent, filled with love and tenderness for all the struggles of the body and the emotions and the mind and life all around. And rest in this deep loving awareness, who you really are. And in this loving awareness, like an ocean of peace and stillness, vastness that contains everything, let yourself sense that just as you can be aware of body and heart and mind, you can also be aware of the field of being, of the beings all around you, those who are kind and loving, and those in fear, and those in pain, and those being born, and those who are sacred. The vastness of beings, and that your loving awareness can extend and become a kind of loving compassion. Just as you hold your own body and heart and mind with tenderness, now let the vastness of your loving awareness extend in every direction, throughout the earth, to the ends of the universe, as if you could hold the whole world in the great heart of tender compassion. People are suffering in different parts of the world. Hold them all with tender compassion. You can. Your Buddha nature, your Nanak nature, your Krishna nature, born into you, is the great heart of compassion and timeless understanding. And send out well wishes of love and tenderness in every direction, from the place of stillness, deep compassion. It's like you become the lamp, the beacon, the healing heart, the medicine of the awakened heart, the medicine of love. Offer to all, to people in different parts of the earth going through so much pain, holding all. When a child is born, our first response is one of love. When a person is dying, our last response is to hold their hand in love. Who we really are is love itself, our true nature, loving awareness, consciousness itself. Rest in it. Return to it. It is your home. very gently, very slowly. Whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes with a beautiful smile. You may come back to this human form, this physical incarnation. Take your time.